All right, we're going to move on to the Auburn mayoral debate now. And we're going to start with our opening remarks by Sarah Payne.
So I want to start tonight by thanking KPC for organizing this event and to the Cruz Plaza for hosting us tonight. It is crucial for our community to come together for events like this. I'm excited that Mike Lay has agreed to be here tonight, but most importantly, I'm excited that you all agreed to be here tonight. Throughout this campaign, we have talked about how important it is for your voices to be heard. Well, the time is now. You have heard me talk about our platform of people, places, and progress. You've seen us run a campaign based on facts and grounded in integrity and transparency. We've demonstrated this with our information-packed website, even providing our full financial reporting. We've hosted public events, house parties, social media events, but this event tonight, this event is special. This event is what really allows you to differentiate between your choices for the future of Auburn. You're going to hear a lot of ideas tonight, but it's important for you to remember one thing. This election isn't about Mike or I. This election is about you. It's not about political parties or divisive national issues. It's about the people right here in our very community. It's about including all people at the table, not just the well-connected or those with the right letter next to their name. This election is about bringing this community together to solve big problems, and I've got a track record of doing just that. Most of you here tonight probably know me. You've seen me at Auburn's First Fridays events, or you served pizza with me at the school. You may have even served on a board or committee with me in the hopes of improving the lives in DeKalb County. You've seen that I'm proactive and forward-thinking, and you've seen that I intimately know the needs of our community, and I'm willing to show up to address those needs. You've seen me demonstrate my leadership and proven that I can deliver results. I'm ready to lead Auburn into the future, and the time is now for you to join me.
All right, and now Mike Lay.
Good evening, I'm Mike Lay. I've been a part of this Auburn community my entire life. I've been a contractor for over 40 years, and can tell you that my fingerprints are all over this community. I have served on and led many not-for-profit organizations, been a part of the development of a large portion of the city, run a successful for-profit company for 15 years, and have served in Auburn city government for 13 years. I have the experience and the knowledge to run the city on day one. During this campaign, I have had the pleasure of personally knocking on over 6,000 doors, engaging over 1,600 citizens, and I can tell you that I understand the wants and needs of the people of Auburn. Overwhelmingly, the people have spoken with love for Auburn and believe we are on the right track. Yes, we need to improve our streets, our sidewalks, our community parks. We need to provide more help to our local businesses, attract new employers, keep our talented youth, increase our high-paying jobs, and continue revitalizing our downtown. But we do not need to fundamentally change who we are. Auburn is no different than any other city in that it has its share of problems. I can tell you that a couple of conversations I have had recently have nearly brought me to my knees as I listen to the life stories of women that have dealt with domestic abuse. I believe that God brought me to those doorsteps, gave those women the strength to share their stories so that I could more fully understand what some people deal with every day. My day one is November 6th. I will start with the initiative we call the City Movement, a collaboration effort of churches, business, nonprofits, all working together to work on systemic issues in our community. thank you all for being here tonight, and I look forward to answering your questions, engaging in respectful conversation, and showing you why I'm so passionate about the future of Auburn.
Okay, we're going to start our questions with Mr. Lay, and our first question is going to come from Sue.
Hello. What is the first issue you would tackle upon taking office as mayor in January?
Great. I almost ran out of time to say that. First issue and the first day of dealing with it, November 6th. And what we're talking about here is an initiative that we've called the City Movement. It's an initiative being used around the country, and the purpose of this, here's the purpose, folks. It's a collaboration of churches and schools and government and business and nonprofits all working together to work on systemic issues. This initiative is to deal with the people. So when you ask about the problem, that's what I see. I'm here to tell you, you walk this town and stand on every single front door of every house in this town, you are going to see your city differently than you do driving down the street 6 blocks away. I've stood there, I've looked in the doors. My number one issue is taking care of the people.
Payne?
Thank you. I think the City Movement is a great idea. I know they've been doing it in Fort Wayne with great success, and I think that we in Auburn are already collaborating in a way that's very special. So I think that a program like that would just be taking that the next step forward. I personally think the biggest issue in Auburn right now is our the fact that we continue to be reactive to problems rather than proactive. We've got some big problems to solve. I think our community is a great community, but I do think we have issues like poverty, mental health, childcare, lack of affordable housing. Some of those are big issues, and I think for us it's going to be really important to take a proactive approach, not just looking at what we want our community to look like in 4 years, but to understand what it needs to look like in 40 years. And to do that, we need visionary leadership.
Mr. Lay, would you care to rebut?
Oh, no doubt, the city initiative is just exactly some of the things she's mentioned as well as I mentioned. It's about taking care of our people and dealing with systemic issues. And for me, it's taking this city movement and creating it, hoping that it will evolve into a culture in our community, one where we watch out for and take care of everyone in the community.
All right, our next question will be directed at Ms. Payne.
All right, and we're going to get into some citizen questions. Our job's getting a little more interesting and fluid up here as they start to hand them to us through the back curtain. We already had several we received through the internet over the last couple of days, and I've got a lot of questions here. I'm going to try to be sorting out, there's some duplication, but we'll start with the very first citizen question we received. Do you plan to work full-time as the mayor, and how do you plan to transition to that?
I absolutely do. I think one of the earlier candidates said that the mayor really is more than a full-time job. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week. So absolutely, I am really fortunate that I work for a company who has been supportive of me along this way. And so I would transition right away into giving my notice at my current employer. And then I've already actually spoken to Mayor Yoder about utilizing him as a mentor and transitioning into the position to better understand what the role would be starting out and making sure that I have his support along the way. So I think that it is really going to be an important transition. Having Mayor Yoder have been in office for 20 years, he's got a wealth of knowledge. And so I look forward to tapping into that knowledge right away.
Mr. Lay?
I can phrase it this way. What transition? And here's the difference. I've worked there. I can walk right in that door tomorrow, pick up anything right off of the mayor's desk, and read and understand every document that's on his desk. I don't need a consultant. I don't need a mentor. I can go in there, and I'm ready. Job day one. There's not going to be a year or 2 year learning curve with a bunch of consultants. So my transition happens the next day.
Ms. Payne, would you care to rebut?
I think the only rebuttal would be that I know Mike's very proud of his experience at the city, but I would think it's important for us to recognize and for our voters to recognize that that experience was 20 years ago. And so a lot has changed in that amount of time. I know just in the short amount of time, the 6 or 7 years that I've been involved with city leadership, things changed very quickly. And so it's important that we lean into the leadership that's there now.
Okay, and we're going to have a follow-up question.
Just want to follow up something we haven't done yet, but part of the question was, would you be full-time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next question will be for Mr. Lay.
This campaign has seen a lot of discussion about the importance of party affiliation. What does your party affiliation mean to you with respect on how you would govern the city of Auburn?
Well, I do believe party affiliation is important from the standpoint of what party you belong to and the fact that you claim to belong to a party so people can connect you to something. And being a part of the Republican Party happens to correlate with my same values and things that are important to me as well. So as far as, what was the second half of the question? Party affiliation
And how would that affect the way you govern? Or
We
with,
would-
yeah, what would
Is
that
it on?
do with your party?
Okay, got it. So go to party affiliation. I think you can take a good look. Just right now, it's pretty much an all-Republican council, clerk treasurer, mayor's office. The city's in the greatest shape it's been in a long, long time. So I think when you take a look at that, what are you going to question here? So the Republican Party, as a body that's fiscally conservative and has the full interest of its citizens at heart, stand together, and they've done a wonderful job.
Ms. Payne?
Sure. We've talked a lot about this as far as our campaign is concerned, and we've really pushed the idea that we think people are greater than party. We know that in our community, the mayor needs to represent all people in our community, not just the Republican Party, not just the Democrats. And so we think it's important for us to bring people together. We know that leaders can do that, and we can do hard things. In my house, I'm married to a Republican, so we've talked about that a lot. And I think nationally, we think a lot about Republicans being far to the extreme and Democrats being far to the other extreme. And I don't see that being the truth in our community. I think we have a lot more that unites us than what divides us. And I think it's important for us to explore those things and to understand that our values all matter. And so I think by having all voices at the table and being inclusive and looking for a community that includes everyone is very important. And that's why our message has been all about people being greater than party.
Mr. Lay, would you care to rebut?
Well, again, look at the situation, the condition this city's in. I don't think they've excluded anyone. When I go door to door and I hear all these people tell me about how they love Auburn, I didn't hear anybody tell me they were excluded because of a political affiliation.
Okay. Our next question will be for Ms. Payne. Dave can ask this question.
I've lost track of whose turn it is. Okay. Here's another citizen question submitted through the internet. If elected as Auburn's next mayor, would you continue to financially support the Auburn Main Street program as a line item in the city's annual budget as it currently is?
That's an easy one for me. I'd be very proud to do that. I've had the pleasure to serve on the board for Auburn Main Street and also to serve as its president for a while. And one of the things that we can see when we look at the Main Street initiative is that since the 70s, this initiative has been proven to deliver results in communities all across the nation. They focus on economic development and quality of place, and we know those are the most important things in our communities. And having resources like a strong Main Street organization in your community really move the needle in economic development and quality of place. And so the city's support of Auburn Main Street is vital to the future of our community. And I think that what we've seen the community do with that support is astounding. And so those results, I think, need to be continued, and that needs to be happening with the city's support.
Mr. Lay?
Yes, I would support that. I believe the organizations that are helping to build our downtown, build our community, such as DABA and Main Street are good organizations. They've done a good job, and I would partner up with them immediately, and together we would continue on the path that it's on. Also, too, I'd like to, point out that while Main Street and other organizations have their benefits and what they work on, the biggest amount, the largest percentage of your investment and redevelopment downtown comes from private funding. So we need to partner up with our private developers and our investors. I will partner with them. I will help them streamline the process to get their projects approved. We'll open up the door and say, welcome in. We will help you make your project.
All right, would you care to rebut?
The only thing I'd like to add is I think that aligns perfectly with the national Main Street model. They usually encourage a community to have a third, right? A third local funding from private organizations or companies, a third from the community, and a third from government. And so I think that we're getting to that place with Main Street, and I think that that really does give everybody stake in what's happening in our community.
All right, Sue will ask our next question, and we'll start with Mr. Lay.
Each of you has proposed a new feature for the east side of downtown Auburn. Mr. Lay is proposing the community commons on 7th Street. Mrs. Payne has been involved in a proposal to build Cedar Creek Landing along the west bank of Cedar Creek. Why is your proposal the best idea? And if elected, would you pursue both projects?
Well, both projects are great projects. There's no question about that at all. And they both serve totally two different purposes. The community commons restrooms, as we've titled this, is a twofold thing. One, it's a major enhancement and improvement in downtown, as close to the courthouse as you're going to get. And then secondly, it helps to address an issue that was created when the courthouse was shut down from public restrooms. So there was approximately 16 plumbing fixtures, if you will, in the courthouse that are no longer available. The community commons replaces 10 of those 16, so we're getting real close to what was there. And we know on many events that was not enough. So they're both great projects, and I'll support both of them. The community commons can happen next year. I don't know when the landing might happen, given the fact that you have to deal with FEMA and several other regulatory agencies dealing with the floodplain. You might be a while.
Okay, Ms. Payne?
So I would say the biggest difference between the two projects is the community involvement piece. So I was fortunate enough to be a part of a group called the Hometown Collaboration Initiative. And that group actually brought the community together to discover what the needs were in the community and to explore with various resources, including surveys and community forums, to determine really what was the biggest needs in our community. And the Cedar Creek Landing actually was born out of that process. And I think the process was the most important piece. Now the project is going to be better because it's more inclusive. Not only does it include a pavilion and a veterans memorial, an overlook to the creek, as well as access point to the creek, but it also does include the public restrooms. And I think what makes it special is that it did include the community.
All right, Mr. Lay, would you care to rebut?
Yeah, again, I'm not going to challenge one necessarily so much greater than the other. I can say this, too, that the community commons is open year-round, 7 days a week, so they're available at all times. The landing, unfortunately, sits in a floodplain, and I question that those restrooms were going to be available year-round, plus the fact you better worry about them flooding and filling your toilets and running down our city sewers.
Okay, our next question will start with Ms. Payne.
Okay, we're going to combine two questions from citizens that are on the same theme, and I'll read them both and just react to the questions here. What are your plans to help those with special needs in our area thrive and be more involved in the community? A similar question, what are your plans for Auburn for the handicap and special needs population? Still many sidewalks close to downtown need improvement. I believe only one park has 3 handicap swings. What places or resources could we add for functional skills kids and adults? Right now, it's all out of town.
It's a great question. I would say in my experience of walking door to door and talking with community people, and actually even having these opportunities at public events, I actually had the opportunity to meet an adult with special needs. Amy was so willing to share her story, and one of the things that came from that was really the ability for us to look at programming that was available through our Parks Department, and I actually immediately was able to connect Amy with some resources to start to get her involved in the conversation. So it really just goes back to including more voices at the table, voices like Amy's, to give us suggestions as to what she would like us to do, and then to have those voices be a part of the solution, because I think that those folks in our community don't feel like they're always being heard.
Mr. Lay?
Yes, well, you kind of had multiple components to that question there, and some of them sidewalks and programming and such. And, you know, one thing for sure, we've got a couple good programs, organizations here. One is our City Parks Department. They do a wonderful job in what they offer, and they have people working on programming. And, yes, we could probably always have room for more programs that help people with needs. Additionally, we have an awesome YMCA that is fully staffed and always welcome to entertain programs that can help their people that they serve. As far as sidewalks and getting to and fro, I can tell you I'm an expert on walking on sidewalks, walking the whole city. I've been on every single one of them, so I understand the importance of that. I saw people in the wheelchairs, I saw the strollers jumping across the sidewalk, so I understand that's an important piece.
Ms. Payne, would you care to rebut?
The only thing I would additionally add is, yes, I think we need to connect our sidewalks better. We have a lot of places in our community where the sidewalks, I think, go nowhere, right? We see it all along State Road 8 especially, where a sidewalk will start and end, and it forces people with strollers or mobility scooters to ride in the street. And so by easily connecting those spaces, I think we make our entire community more accessible for everyone.
All right. Sue will ask our next question, and we'll start with Mr. Lay.
Auburn has benefited from growth in nearby Fort Wayne in recent years compared to other Northeast Indiana communities. How do you view the relationship between Auburn and its urban neighbor, and what would you do to try to attract new development north to DeKalb County?
That question has a lot of components to it, and some of those we are laser focused on, and it has to do with, and you're talking about Fort Wayne, and that is obviously Fort Wayne in terms of amenities and culture that they offer is wonderful for our community. It's a 10-minute drive away. But also, one of the things I'm concerned about is, and I don't have time to go into details here, but it has to do with utilities from Fort Wayne and pushing into DeKalb County, and it's absolutely on my radar of a big concern. But more importantly, Fort Wayne, Allen County is pushing north, and it's pushing hard, and we need to be prepared for it. I am looking. My radar's out 6 miles. It hits county line, and so I'm paying attention to that. So when I see housing and just ask myself the question, where is the influx of large housing going to happen? It's coming from the south north.
Ms. Payne?
I think we have a great opportunity with the growth that we're seeing in Fort Wayne. I recently went to a conference where they talked a lot about flipping the script. And I think it's time that we do that in our community, where we look at regionalism as an asset, not a threat to our community. And when we look at regionalism as an asset, I think what happens is we start to say, instead of using terminology like we live in the middle of nowhere, I think we can change the terminology in our community to say we live in the middle of everywhere. We have great assets both in our county and in surrounding communities. We live just 20 minutes from the lakes in Allen County, in Steuben County. We live close to the urban center in Fort Wayne. Garrett has great restaurants and amenities, and I think we need to change the way we talk about our neighbors, and instead to decide that we want to be part of a bigger community and really look at regionalism as an asset. Our Northeast Indiana is growing, and I think Auburn is uniquely positioned to take advantage of that growth.
Mr. Lay, would you care to rebut?
Auburn is uniquely positioned in the fact and it's blessed by having Interstate 69 along our edge of town, and because of that we have great opportunity to continue to develop, and businesses can locate here and still have a connection to Fort Wayne if that's where they're headquartered. But what I'm talking about here is watching out for DeKalb County and its citizens.
Our next question will start with Ms. Payne.
As you guys are finding out, the audience writes complex questions. This one's a little simpler and can maybe get us into a discussion of traffic in general and as well as the specific problem mentioned here. Is there any study or consideration towards some kind of traffic control at the south end of Grandstaff Drive at its intersection with Auburn Drive, perhaps even a three-way stop? It is heavily traveled, especially by truck traffic bypassing downtown.
Specifically on that intersection, I have not discussed it with city leadership, but I do know that our city has been exploring traffic issues throughout the city. And I think we need to do a comprehensive traffic study throughout the city to look at intersections that are causing us problems. Certainly that area of town is growing, and we certainly need to explore the ways that we can maximize those intersections to protect pedestrians and automobile drivers alike, and then also protect the flow of traffic in those areas. So that particular area of town I think is congested, but I think we have areas in town that we need to look at comprehensively to discover where we have needs and then look at solutions to meet those needs.
Mr. Lay?
Yeah, from day one, we have a plan to put into effort of doing a comprehensive traffic study on our major corridors, which we can talk about from Grandstaff all the way to County Road 19. Now, we just can't focus on that one stretch of road. We need to look at the interconnecting roads, such as Grandstaff Drive and Turing Drive, and out at County Road 19, and out there at Smaltz Drive. All of those areas that interconnect into there, we need to study those. We just can't take care of the traffic on 7th Street, push it down Grandstaff, and then say good luck. We will need to incorporate that into our study of the traffic situation on West 7th Street, all the way to County Road 19.
Ms. Payne, would you care to rebut? Okay, all right. Our next question then will start with Mr. Lay.
This is a citizen or a participant question. According to the 2016-2020 Park Master Plan Priorities and Action Plan, the first priorities focused on adding to or developing new waterfront amenities. What is your plan to bring back to Auburn Parks water-related amusements?
Well, I'll point out a couple things. One, and everyone should know that our YMCA provides different amenities in the water sports activities and such, and have provided those last couple of years. And specifically, I think the question is trying to hide the question about a city pool. And if that's the case, if I can explain it in this 1 minute, is the way the other one was built with privately funded and built by private funds, and then it was operated for lots of years in the red and eventually closed. And I would fully support an organization, a group that does the same thing, bring together a full plan to put a pool in place, also how to operate it so that it's not operating at the red, and we could sure consider that.
Ms. Payne?
I think we need to think outside of the box when we look at water recreation in our community. Again, going back to my opening statements about being proactive, I think that we have an opportunity now. Anytime you lose an amenity, it's always hard in your community, but I think it gives us a new opportunity to look at what do we need. Is it a pool? Is it a water park? Is it a splash pad? What does it really look like for our community? And I think we do that by including more people in the conversation. The experience I had with HCI would do just that, where we bring more voices to the table. I know when the pool closed, we had a lot of citizens who were really concerned about it, and I've heard that same concern when we're out knocking doors. And so I think we have a unique opportunity to really explore it with a fresh perspective and determine what we need to do going forward that best suits the needs for our entire community. So I think it's kind of a silver lining. It gave us a new opportunity to explore water recreation.
Mr. Lay, would you care to rebut?
Yeah, with our vision of revitalizing all the city parks and making each one a unique feature, element, or activity, I think that opens the door and opportunities for us to consider all sorts of activities, water parks and others.
Okay, our next question from Dave, we'll start with Ms. Payne.
Okay, and we're doing our best to get to all the citizen questions here. We're throwing out our questions and trying to prioritize the citizen questions. This one asks for thoughts on historic preservation and how you would engage the community for their input. In specific, address projects such as the old hotel and the power plant and any others you may see as an immediate need.
Well, historic preservation is near and dear to my heart. I think that in a community like Auburn, our biggest asset is our historic structures. And so the first thing that I would do is I would set up a historic preservation commission. A lot of communities around us have such organizations that are citizen-led, but provide property owners with the resources they need, and not just the financial resources that they need, but the educational resources that they need and the connections that they need to save historic properties in our community. I think the hotel is a perfect example of that. We know that it has not been maintained to the best of the owner's ability, and we think that there's an opportunity to work with organizations like Indiana Landmarks. We know that there's historic preservation grants and tax credits available through the state. And so I've got a lot of experience in working with state agencies, and I think by utilizing that experience and combining it with a historic preservation commission, we can make an impact in saving the places that are the most important to our community.
Okay. Mr. Lay?
Historic preservation is important, and I think it's very evident. It's very prominent in Auburn in many places and features and elements. And we too, we have personally done historic preservation projects. We understand, and we understand the complexity of doing that. We also understand that there's a cost to that, a huge cost to that, and you're playing with someone else's pocketbooks with many times when you're talking about that. So it needs to be weighed out on what's going on. I think a good example of historic preservation is our proposal for the community bridge, where we're taking a 100-year-old bridge and going to bring it and construct it downtown. That was an element constructed in our county that was disassembled. As far as the hotel and the power plant, I know the power plant's something that's been underway, and it's you know, a couple people with a paintbrush and working on that. But as far as the hotel, I also know that that's been investigated numerous times, and you're talking some very, very serious money.
Ms. Payne, would you care to rebut?
Sure, that's exactly the point of utilizing the resources that are available, such as Indiana Landmarks, the historic tax credits, and the historic preservation grants that are available. So I agree, and I understand that it is super expensive to save some of these places, but when we respect the places that are special in our community, I think that we can find the resources available. I don't easily take no for an answer, and so I think when we have to focus on the places that matter most to our community.
Our next question will be directed at Mr. Lay first.
If elected, what process would you use to select members for boards and commissions?
Well, the very first requirement for anyone to participate and get involved in our governance would be having a passion and love for the city of Auburn as much as I do. And then secondly, we would apply like we would evaluating people. We want to have the best people suited for the job or task or board that they've been asked to participate in. So we would look for people with the skills, the talents, the interest, and the passion, and try and match them up with the board that fits that, so that they can be even more successful at what they're doing and be engaged from day one.
All right. Ms. Payne?
I think one of my biggest assets is my relationship building skills. And so throughout this process, I've been talking to people across our community about their interests and really actually taking down names already of people who are particularly passionate about projects that are happening in our community. And so I think by engaging with the community in a way that's very authentic and transparent, it encourages people to step up to the plate. Oftentimes when I'm talking to people, they'll say, I don't know how to get involved. I don't know how to be a leader in our community. And my biggest response typically is, you just show up. We can help walk alongside people. If they have the passion and they have the interest in our community, I think their voices should be heard. And I think that we can walk alongside people to provide them with the resources that they need to be an asset on those committees.
Mr. Lay, would you care to rebut?
Yes, because I do want to add that in walking door to door, I've had numerous people ask me about and being asked if they can engage and be part of the city. And I've engaged all different levels, socially and economically, and there's people from all levels want to get involved. And I said, you come to the mayor's office, the door's open, let it be known what you're interested in.
Okay, our next question, we're going to start with Ms. Payne.
And continuing with audience questions, what are your plans to enhance our gateways to Auburn, especially the gateways to the south and west?
This is a topic that actually came up in the Hometown Collaboration Initiative project as well. We know that we are not welcoming people to Auburn very well on our gateways. I am especially passionate about the west corridor because not only is it not very attractive, it's also dangerous. And so I know that it was just in the paper today that the city is looking at working with NDOT to create a study and plans to make the corridor safer. But I think we need to look at making it more attractive as well. And so I think by looking at comprehensive ways to address gateways throughout the community is going to be really important. Right now, State Road 8 is really just a rest stop on 69, and it doesn't describe who our community is once you go past that part of our industry. And so I think it's important for us to really look at evaluating how do we make it more appealing and how do we attract people to the rest of our community.
Mr. Lay?
Yeah, no question. The addressing the gateways to communities is a topic we've been talking about, and particularly then on the West 7th Street as well. As part of our investigation and study into improving the traffic situation, we're going to address it threefold. One is traffic movement and safety. Secondly is pedestrian movement and safety. And third, beautification. And with that beautification, our vision is to take the 4 clover leaves on the Interstate 69 and beautify and landscape each of those 4 clover leaves, perhaps each one being sponsored by one of the service organizations or a group in town, and let them be the sponsor of that. We can also put a sign out there that's welcoming. People drive off that interstate, hit the bottom up, they know exactly what Auburn is, and it's a beautiful city. They come on in through 7th Street, they're going to think so even more.
Ms. Payne, would you care to rebut?
Sure. The only thing I would add is I know that the city is already looking at developing projects out there that work collaboratively with NDOT. That's a state highway, and you know, obviously the entrance off of 69 would be important to include NDOT in those conversations. And so I think that by looking at that project as it relates to the rest of the infrastructure out there is going to be very important. And I think that there's some exciting things and some exciting grants available to make those projects bigger and better.
Okay. Do we have time for one more question? Okay. All right. One more question.
How would your administration be transparent and engage citizens? Did you understand me there? That's okay.
For Mr. Lay, we'll start with Mr. Lay.
Yeah, well, one of the first things we're going to do, we've got 2 programs we're going to initially kick out of the box here day one, and it's a Youth Advisory Council as well as a Citizens Academy. Both of those programs are designed to engage all diverse people in our community, youth and citizens, adults, for their views, and we welcome that. So we're going to immediately get the Youth Academy underway, Youth Advisory Council, and the Citizens Academy, and get that started, which will every 10 weeks or so hopefully produce a new crop of citizens that are interested in seeing what's going on in the city, learn about all the city departments, and hopefully become engaged enough where they'll run for city council, they'll ask for appointments, they'll get on our boards and commissions, and I think that's a good step in engaging the people and getting them involved.
Okay. Ms. Payne?
Well, I think a perfect example to see how transparent and authentic someone is to look at the campaign that they've run. And I'm proud of the campaign that we've run. I've written 26 blogs. I've done 26 live Facebook videos. I'm available to people whenever they need, and I answer questions immediately. And so I think that by taking those types of initiatives and applying them directly to city government is going to be crucial. We know that people in our community want to know what's happening in a city council meeting. They want to know what our leaders are talking about. And so by having and using the technology that we have available to us, I think it's important that we show kind of behind the curtain, right? We know that in our community, it's been notorious for having decisions made by a select group of people behind closed doors, and to break down those doors and make sure that we're showing everything that's happening in city leadership, I think is a very easy step with today's technology.
Mr. Lay, would you care to rebut?
Well, a couple things about engaging the public, and one is, it's quite obvious I would have the mayor's door open at all times and people are welcome to come there. Secondly, I don't know that you can be a whole lot more transparent and engaging standing on their front doorstep talking to them. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to do that every day on every subject, but I'm telling you the passion to do that and the willingness to do it is definitely there, and we are as engaged with the people as anyone is.
Okay, we'll go into our closing remarks, and we're going to start with Mr. Lay.
Closing speeches are supposed to be about making that final pitch for why you should vote for me to be your mayor. They are intended to cast final doubt on the opponent, draw lines, and convincing you that I'm the right guy for the job. But I am not going to do that. What I want to do in my final 2 minutes is talk to you about why I love Auburn. Everyone here tonight, those watching on live stream or who will be reading the newspaper, make up the community of Auburn. Each of us has differences in our opinions on life, family, raising kids, and religion. But what makes this community amazing is that while we may not agree with our neighbors on their views, we have respect for their opinions, and when they are in need, we are the first to step in and help. The simple truth is what makes Auburn great is why I am so passionate about this community. The thousands of people I have talked to during this campaign all have one thing in common. They love Auburn. They love our downtown, our parks, our churches, but above all, they love the sense of belonging in this community. Sarah and I have many things that set us apart. Many of these you have seen tonight. But what I can tell you is that each of us have an overwhelming passion for Auburn and want to do what we feel is best for the community. As this campaign ends on Tuesday, I want to ask every citizen of Auburn to show compassion and respect for your neighbor, for their opinions and for their views. Reach out to your family and friends, mend the fences that may have been damaged so we can work together to make a better Auburn. I want to leave you with one final thought that has been with me throughout this campaign and continues to give me strength. We are all children of God. We are made in His image, and while we have so many unique appearances, opinions, and views, we really are all the same. The strength of this community comes through our acceptance of each other, our ability to work together, and our ability to see past our differences and focus on what is best for Auburn. I thank you for your time and humbly ask for you to vote for me for mayor and join me in building the legacy of Auburn.
All right, Ms. Payne?
The city of Auburn is positioned for amazing growth. Auburn is at a crossroads, and the energy is palpable. Mayor Yoder has provided a foundation of improved infrastructure, a talented team of leaders, and a culture of collaboration. As your next mayor, you will see us hit the accelerator on progress. You will see that I will show up for this community, not just when I'm running for office, but all the time. I will be a full-time mayor with my North Star in service to this community. Think about the things that you love in this community and consider who you've seen there time and time again. You'll continue to see me tearing down picnic tables in the rain at First Fridays with my family, and you will continue to see me serving pizza at school. You will see me at the ACD Festival enjoying the fun with thousands of my closest friends, and you'll see me there because leadership is about showing up, and that's what you should expect from your next mayor. I'll continue to build upon the relationships that I've fostered with state agencies and community members. These relationships will help to drive Auburn's success. Our campaign has given Auburn a choice, and it's up to you to take advantage of that opportunity. This is a critical election, and I hope that you have been paying attention. You have seen us run a vigorous campaign focused on the community and rooted in integrity. You have seen us rally a dedicated grassroots effort with hardworking, dedicated volunteers. You've seen this community come together to support us financially with over 100 unique donors giving to support the efforts to share our message. And you have seen all of these things for just one reason. It's always been about creating a better community. Now is your chance to join us. Together, we can do great things. The way I see it, a vote for me is a vote for people. A vote for me is a vote for progress. And a vote for me is a vote for innovative ideas to solve the community's most pressing problems. Tonight, I humbly ask for your vote to move our city forward.
On behalf of KPC Media, the Auburn Star, I want to thank everyone, all of our candidates, and especially our audience members who gave us questions tonight. This debate was live streamed on the Star's Facebook page, on KPC Media's YouTube channel, and there will be complete coverage of the debate in an upcoming issue of the Star. Thank you very much, and good night.
Before we go, we do want to give an opportunity to other candidates who are here to come forward and speak for a couple of minutes. The format we set forward is if you're a candidate in a contested race, we'll allow 2 minutes. If you're a candidate who does not have an opponent on Tuesday, we would allow you to speak for 1 minute. So we'll just go in the order that people come to the front, and we'll just come down front with that. Okay, that's a good idea. Let's let him come up on stage. And just form a line at the stage. And we'll start with Nora, and introduce yourself, the office for which you're running, and talk to us for a couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Nora Schwartz, and I'm running for Auburn City Council District 1 seat. I'm a military veteran. I proudly spent 6 years in the Air Force at the 122nd Fighter Wing. I'm a former teacher at DeKalb Middle School, a wife and a mother, and a strong community leader. I grew up in DeKalb County. I graduated from DeKalb High School, and we chose to return to Auburn to raise our family. I've been and will continue to be one of Auburn's biggest advocates, supporting business development, community engagement, sustainable progress, and developing leaders in our community. I love this town and the people in it, and that's why I want to run and represent you on City Council. I know our community well. I understand how our downtown supports our families, and I understand how our families need to support our downtown. I represent our community in many capacities around Auburn. I'm a board member for Auburn Main Street. I'm the current president of Tri Kappa. I'm on the Promise Committee with the Community Foundation, a volunteer in several of our schools, and I manage 4 different boards for junior achievement, including the DeKalb Central Eastern School. It seems at times like I'm everywhere, but one place I promise to be is right here. I will be present, I will be engaged, and I will be listening to our community, committing myself to you to represent the best for Auburn. This is a matter of personal passion, not personal gain. I know our downtown because I volunteer in it. I know our district because I live in it. I know our schools because I taught there. And I know our community because I love it. You will be hard-pressed to find a more active member of our community than myself. I believe a city council should appropriately reflect the city that it represents. My experiences position me to represent the families, the youth, the present, and the future of Auburn. I wish to bring that voice to the discussion on City Council. My name is Nora Schwartz, and I would like to represent you as City Council District 1 representative. Thank you.
And appropriately, we have the other person in that race.
Thank you, Dave. I'm Wayne Madden. I'm the current representative for District 1 on the Auburn City Council. More importantly, I'd like to remain the representative for District 1 on the Auburn City Council. I'm the Republican candidate, and I would seek your vote. I've been a lifelong resident of Auburn. I bring a lot of business experience to the Auburn City Council. I started in business here in Auburn when I was 10 years old. I was able to obtain a Evening Star paper route, deliver my 93 papers, and then every week collect the 30-cent premium for that newspaper for 6 days. But it taught me a lot of good qualities, a lot of good basic business qualities. As I went on through Auburn High School and played in sports here in Auburn, a city that's been very good to me, graduated from college, I came back to DeKalb County as a teacher, spent 3 years at Eastside High School, decided to make a career change. I joined the insurance business, worked for the Prudential Insurance Company for 11 years. In 1984, I bought my own insurance agency and ran that for 26 years. 2010, I was elected as an executive officer of Lions Clubs International, only the third person from the state of Indiana in our 100-year history to be elected to that position. As an executive officer of Lions Clubs International, the world's largest service organization, my wife and I traveled the world to over 90 countries. We also had the responsibility of dealing with 300 employees in Oak Brook, Illinois. I worked directly with our executive director, our legal counsel, our corporate treasurer, as well as the 10 division managers. So I have a lot of experience not only managing a small business, which sometimes is tougher than a big business, but dealing with a $50 million corporation. I enjoy living in Auburn. It's a model city. If re-elected to serve another term on the city of Auburn, I will see that Auburn remains a model city governed with good, strong fiscal responsibility. I seek your vote.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Renee Dazinski, and I'm running for the Clerk Treasurer of Waterloo. I have lived in Waterloo my entire life, and I have a strong sense of community. I remember growing up, and my grandfather was a school teacher and being very involved in the community, and I would tag along with him. So my sense of community goes back to childhood, and I'm eager to move forward in the community. Waterloo is trying really hard to change and grow. In working with the town council, I think that we can really make a budget in order to continue driving Waterloo into the future. I have spoken with a lot of the town council members about the plans for the future, and I think that that's something that is really important as a community and to have a sense of community. So I am running for this position not only to balance the budget and make sure that we have a strong financial situation in order to grow the community, but also to be able to communicate effectively between the town people and the city council. So I am running for the clerk treasurer this fall, and I hope that you choose me.
You want to pose? Or you have a pen?
Good evening. My name's Ken Serber. I'm currently on the Waterloo Town Council. And this year we had 3 open positions at large, and 2 of these were filed by incumbents, myself and our current president, David Bolton. And then we'll have a new member coming on, Josh Cottle, and to our team. It was an uncontested race. We'd had no competition, so you can tell it was a hard-fought battle. I think in the next 4 years, you're going to see some major changes to Waterloo. So those of you that currently drive through Waterloo on your way somewhere, I think we're going to give you some place to stop and say, hey, this is Waterloo.
Yep.
I'm a teacher. I don't need that. I can
Okay. Mr. Fincham does not need a microphone.
I teach public high school. school, so I'm more comfortable coming down and speaking with you like this. So my name is Jim Fincham. I'm on the Auburn City Council. This will be my 5th term. So first off, I'd like to thank KPC for hosting this tonight. But more importantly, I'd like to thank the citizens of Auburn for electing me in 4 times. I've really enjoyed it. I really liked Mr. Getz tonight talking about the passion he has for Garrett High School. I also have that same passion for DeKalb High School, and I'd like to see more synergy between the city of Auburn and DeKalb High School moving forward, and the school districts of DeKalb Central. So again, thank you for your vote. I appreciate it, and I look forward to working another 4 years. Thank you.
I'm Kevin Webb. I'm running for 2nd District City Council, Auburn. I just want to thank you for supporting me. If you vote, I'm not running, nobody's running against me, but I really want to emphasize the fact the communication part of my job is just great. I love talking to the people and you guys letting me know what you think about whatever the current issue is or future issues. We are available on the website. City of Auburn has a website. We all have email and telephone numbers. Call us anytime. Send us an email. I love interacting, finding out what's going on, and just keep it up. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope that we've informed everyone tonight, so please go out and vote on Tuesday. Thank you. Good night.